today I wanted to talk about something that has been really irritating me and getting on my nerves, amongst a lot of different things, because most things annoy me and piss me off. Um, but that's just because I'm a Scorpio. But, anyways, I'm really sick and tired of seeing people who call themselves Christians be the biggest hypocrites. Ever since I was little, I literally grew up in the church. So, if anyone knows them and how they operate, I definitely do. And I definitely, at the same time, consider myself a Christian. And I'll get into like my own beliefs and maybe a little bit in this video, but I might even do like a full deep dive um, on my personal beliefs in another video, depending on how much I share today. I'm just going with the flow. So, hypocritical Christians. I cannot stand them, and I have known them my entire life. And they set a horrible example of what Christ was like, is like, and they make everyone else who is not a Christian nationalist, extreme evangelical, mixed in with a lot of colonization, a lot of whiteness, a lot of European BS. And that's exactly why the ones that you see mostly in power and the ones that are making a lot of these decisions within the government, why they're pushing for the inhumane things that they are pushing for, because they do not worship God. They do not, um, they are not examples at all. I was going to say not even a good example. They're just not an example at all of what Christianity is supposed to be. And as someone who is a Christian, who is a Black woman, who is trans, I have a very unique experience on this. Growing up in the church, I was still a little boy at the time, um, and that was a very traumatic experience growing up in the church, being visibly feminine and being visibly queer and not like my sex obviously not being in congruence with my gender identity. That's my whole life. I've always been feminine. There's not a masculine bone in my body. Um, so me being myself meant I don't need to, like, I don't care what anyone else has going on. I'm going to express myself and I'm going to be myself because that's who God made me to be. And I grew up seeing a lot of Christians in the church wanting me to hate myself, leading me to thoughts of unaliving myself and wanting to self delete and having self delete attempts as a child. Um, that had a lot to do with my upbringing within my family, but also most of it having to do with um, their brand of Christianity, which again, I cannot emphasize this enough that any form of religion, especially Christianity, I'm going to stay with Christianity because that's what I know, but especially with Christianity, if anything besides love is not being pushed, run, run, literally run. But again, like as a kid, I didn't know that. I didn't know. I was taught how to follow a religion. I was taught how to follow a set of beliefs, but I was never taught to actually have a relationship with God. And that's why I still consider myself a Christian now. That's why I still believe in God to this day. And that's why I still read my Bible. I still pray all the time. And I'm always looking for the guidance from God, as opposed to like what everyone else had going on around me. And that's something I had to learn very, very quickly because these Christians, when I was a kid, literally, like I remember I have so many different I'm I could probably make so many different videos about this because of all of the different stories, but I'll just tell you one really quickly. Um, when I was I was a teenager at this time. So I had to be maybe like 13, 14, 12, like somewhere around there. I don't like it's honestly all a blur because of the trauma of it all. I just remember being a teenager because I remember approximately how tall I was, and this scenario, I know for a fact I was a teenager. So, anyways, I've always been big into YouTube. And a DIY, like DIY was big on YouTube when I was coming up. Um, I grew up a lot on DIYs because middle class, working family, and also because I was a boy at the time, there was no budget from my parents to get like feminine, girly things. So my creativity has always been femininity. I like to be creative in a lot of different ways, but especially with makeup, which is why I love makeup so much. It was a way that I could figure out how to do a lot with a little, like nothing, but I would be able to still feel pretty and beautiful about myself. So, this particular DIY I saw was how to you would do a clear coat and you would do I don't even remember, I'd have to look it up how to do it now, but you would take a newspaper, and I learned through the video on YouTube how to get the ink to actually be on my nails so you could see like the letters going across with just clear polish, like just the letters and clear polish, no color, no glitter, no nothing like that. I always tried to push it as far as I could go with expressing myself and being like, showing signs. Um, and I was so proud of it because they looked good as hell. Like, I've always been blessed with being creative and artsy, and I thank God for that. Um, for giving me the born ability, but letting me have the free will to express it how I feel comfortable and how I want to. Um, that's the other thing. God is all about love and God is all about free will. So, getting ahead of myself. Back to the nails. I was so proud of myself. They looked bomb as hell. Um, they had the letters going across with just the clear polish. Again, nothing more than that. But especially during that time, seeing a little boy, how I was perceived was a little boy at the time, um, that was a lot, especially in a church. Like, girl, who did I think I was, girl? It's not who I thought I was. I always knew I was her. So, but yeah, I was bold as hell about it. Like, I was like, I'm gonna express myself, and whether that's at school, whether that's at home, whether that's at church, like, I've never cared what other people have had going on because I've been so in tune with myself. So when I showed up to church and those nails were looking cute, the pastor, literally the pastor, came up to me and he was like, "What did you do to your nails?" And I was like, "Nothing." Because first of all, why are you coming to check me and I'm not your child? Clock that. Um, and he was like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that to your nails. Like, boys don't do that to their nails and da da da." I literally looked at him and I didn't say anything else in my head. And I wish, obviously, I'm a grown woman now, but like, I wish I had like an older sibling that was there and would have been like, "You're literally not their dad. Who do you think you are?" From then on, even before that, there were instances that happened, but from then on, I was treated completely differently. And these are the same people that talk about love and talk about um, sharing the good word to people and being a good example to the rest of the world. And it's like, whole time, you are abusing the sheep within your own flock. And y'all are worried about appearances, y'all are worried about all of the wrong things, but you're literally abusing a baby sheep. Me. No one deserves that. So, yeah, I'm sick of the hypocrisy from Christians. I'm sick of the blatant lies that they like to tell, and say that they are Christian values, which they absolutely are not. They don't even read their own Bibles. I guarantee you, they are not praying to God. They're praying to money. They're praying to their banks. They're praying to their own generational wealth. And they're praying on others, preying upon others, on how they can continue to prey on them and how they can continue to extract resources from people who have the least. And yeah, I want to call it out because I've seen it my entire life. I still see it now. Like the church where I just mentioned that happened when I was a kid. Actually, I'm not going to go there right now, but there I will probably do a lot more story times about this, because I have so many different stories. But I just wanted to say that I'm sick of this. I'm tired of seeing it, and they are not the correct example of God and God's love and one of God's greatest expressions to human beings, which is free will. Anytime anyone is trying to infringe upon you or your rights, they are not a Christian. They are not following God. Slavery, infringing on people's rights, putting them in alligator Alcatraz, putting them in these inhumane conditions, those are not Christians. To, first of all, make that plan to do that, carry it out, and then to put people in those places that they're being put, that is not Christian. So I have to tell everyone about this because I know that there are people that are in similar positions to me that are young, queer, and in the church and may still believe in God or may not. I'm not here to tell you what to believe in. I can just tell you what my experiences are and what my experiences were growing up and what they are now as an adult. Um, you have to make that decision for yourself on what you believe spiritually. But what I can tell you right now is that the spiritual abuse that I experienced and the religious trauma that I experienced was at the hands of people who call themselves Christians. And they are going to do everything they can to try to control you. And you have to resist. You have to. So I feel like I'm starting to get a little ranty. I'm going to end it there. And yeah, expect more content from your girl.